In addition to moving objects, we can also rotate and scale them. So rotate and scale are located here on our toolbox, but we also can get to them through our hotkeys. Now remember, we have some very nice hotkeys here. We have Q for select, W for move, E and R for rotate and scale. So I'm going to go ahead and select the rotate tool. And just like with the move tool, we can just click on any object to select it and then rotate. So I'm going to go ahead and select the couch. And the rotate gizmo is a little bit different from move in that it has circles rather than arrows. So I can hover over any one of these circles and rotate around that axis. So if I hover over the red circle, I can rotate around the x-axis. Blue is Z, and green is Y. Now, if you want to rotate around multiple axes, you can click in the middle here, and that will allow you some sort of free rotation, which I find is kind of hard to control. But notice this little cyan ring around everything, and that basically just continues to go perpendicular to the camera. So however the camera is pointed, this will rotate around that particular axis. So if we get kind of a front view here, we can rotate that way. Or if we go kind of into a top view by manipulating our camera, we can do that. So that can be a very handy way to work with the rotate tool. Now we can also rotate around multiple axes. So if I select my tool settings by clicking on this button or double clicking on the tool icon, we can change our axis orientation. Right now it's set to the default of world, but if we want, we can go into object mode. So for example, this chair here is rotated a little bit, and so we may want to go from world, which is aligned to the world, to object, which is aligned to the object. So this will allow us to say rotate it around this axis rather than the actual world axis itself. Now, if we select multiple objects and rotate them, we can do that as well. And these objects will rotate around their individual pivots. Now, we're going to get to pivots in just a bit, but just remember that every object has its own coordinate system and its own center or pivot, and that's where these objects will rotate around. Now, if we hit W, you can see that there's actually a position for this icon, and that's where the pivot point is for any particular object. Now that we understand rotate, let's go ahead and look at scale. So select the scale tool and select an object. And when we select that object, the scale tool looks a little bit like the move tool, except it has boxes at the end rather than arrows. And we can grab these boxes to scale along any axis. So red is X, green is Y, and blue is Z. Now, if we select in the middle, we basically do a global scale and make the object bigger or smaller. Now, just like with the move tool, we also have these little planes that allow us to scale or stretch an object along specific pairs of axes. So if I did this along the green one, it would scale it along X and Z, but not Y. And again, just like with the rotate tool, we can select multiple objects and scale them. And just like with the rotate tool, it will scale around the object's axis. So those are some of the basics of rotate and scale, and they will allow you to, again, manipulate and position your objects as you want.